This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
How would you like to get more customers, make more profits, and have bigger breakthroughs? Get Doberman Dan's profit boosting breakthroughs. Normally, this would cost you $98 per month, but right now, for listening to this show, he's giving you a free copy of his Doberman Dan letter. All you have to do is go to DobermanDan.com and sign up to get your free copy now.
Prepare yourself for the uncensored, nothing held back, no BS reality of how business and life really work. Doberman Dan is off the chain.
You're listening to Doberman Dan's Off the Chain show. Welcome back. And good news. If you were into last week's interview with the millionaire maker, Chad Mureta, you are in luck because we are about to go to part 2 of that interview when we go into some deeper stuff to take your game to the next level. Let's jump in.
So what are some of the biggest stumbling blocks to getting an app started or just starting in the app business?
I would say the stumbling block for most people would be, just the ability to, I think the market research part, even though it's the most critical, is probably the easiest to teach and understand since it's right there and updating for you. I think the most challenging part, which again, if you have the right information and you have scripts that we give you, it's pretty easy to follow, but it's just hiring. It's hiring your team, your developers or your designers, because, people like us that aren't that technical, we have to trust and we have to communicate properly and we have to lay out an app properly so the other team understands exactly what we're trying to do. And I think that's where most people, not that it's necessarily that hard, but because people get scared about that and they have beliefs around that, I think it creates a little scotoma for them, and they get a little nervous, and it prevents some people from moving forward. But I mean, again, once you do that, like any business, it becomes super easy. And there's sites like Upwork and there's developers. I mean, it's a great time now just because all these networks are already built out. All these languages are already built out, and you can buy templates of code already that are all put together for you. So, I think it just takes a little bit of understanding for people to really get over that hurdle, and then they're off to the races.
So I'm completely ignorant about app marketing. How do you market it? Or is a lot of it, I just assumed a lot of it was word of mouth. People stumble across it in the app store or just heard somebody else talking about it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that with apps, and it's pretty interesting because I think the general public, they think you get like a PR release and, all of a sudden it gets this viral and when that's not true at all. I've had apps in the front page of, like New York Times and stuff, and I've seen a little blip of downloads and then it goes away the next day. So it's less about that, and it's more about understanding the title, understanding the way the keywords work, right? Like you have SEO with websites, you've got ASO with apps, and it's putting yourself. And again, we're just looking at, since there's already a market for it, say we're looking at this, say just a pixel game or a first-person shooter game or a weather app. Say we're doing a weather app we're emulating. I'm actually looking to do this skiing app that I've been looking to do for a while now. So what do? I go on, I look at the other successful apps that are showing different, skiing territories and different snow forecasts around. And I look at them and I say, okay, well, what do they do well? So they're all using blue. Okay. What words are they using in their title? They're all using powder. Okay. And what's their demographic look like with their screenshots? I go their screenshots and I look at that, and I don't copy them, but I take those wisdom nuggets and I just emulate them. And so, once you do that and you can hit the keywords right, and just like anything, when you launch something, the Apple algorithm, if you have those, your icon, your screenshots, your title, your keywords pretty locked in, and you're getting your friends and family. I still do this. You get 5 people basically just to download your app and give a non-biased review. I'm sure they will all love it. and they can rate it right when it opens up, and the algorithm pushes your app up there, and now you really have a organic way of getting traffic, and that's sort of your first phase of the marketing. And your second and third phases is obviously that's when we start putting traffic, whether you have your own network, right? I've got a big app network that I can push traffic to, just like an email list. And, now with Facebook ads and Instagram and some of these major influencers that have a lot of followers, it's really easy now to make a win-win for them and to siphon some of this traffic to a product that their customers will like.
Is there an 80-20 thing within this business? Like maybe it's not even 80-20, maybe it's 90-10. In the info product business, the formula, of course, this was back in the day, pre-internet.
Yeah.
The formula was, create an info product for your particular niche or market and keep creating them. And probably 9 out of the 10 you create will be base hits, but one of those will be your big revenue generator. Mm-hmm. Is it a similar thing with the apps?
It is similar. Yeah, it's very similar. So it's a great point, because a lot of people, one thing that I've noticed is people that when we teach this, instead of building separate apps, right? Like in that example, you're going to build these base hits, but they're all similar by nature. And so instead of building a weather app and a security app and a game, and we teach to put everything under one roof and make them similar. So if this person downloads your weather app and you've got, maybe an alert app for hurricanes, then they're more apt to maybe check that one out. You just do a little pop-up when they open up the app and it says, check out, you like this app? Check out this one. And now your conversions will spike to get you to get that app downloaded. So it's exactly that though. Most are, probably base hits. And then you take the traffic of all those base hits and you siphon them to your big hit, your biggest hit. And that's where you get typically, about 80%. It's typically been that 70-80% of my revenue comes from, that 1 or 2 major apps in that portfolio.
This is a fascinating business. Are there any questions I'm not asking you about apps that I should be asking?
I'd love that question, by the way. That's one of my favorite ones. I would say, I would say the question would be something about, what are people really missing out with apps? Even people that are successful with apps, what is something that they're not doing that they should be doing right now?
Ooh, good question. I'm glad I thought of it.
Yes.
So answer that one.
I would say most people, even the people that are really successful, what they do not do, and they may be thinking of it, but I don't see most people are, is a few things. One is just tying in their network with, Facebook, because you can do Facebook Connect with an app and you can start to build an email list, right? Really quickly. So, I can have an email list. Like I've got a Jeep. I love my Jeep. I'm going to build this app that has the different locations and to give people easy access if they want to go off-roading in a safe way. And so I will build an email list off of that, and I'm going to give them content, and I might sell them products, affiliate products. And so the LTV, long-term value of this customer goes up drastically, because now not only am I building a relationship with them, but I'm also increasing the amount of money that they're spending with me because they trust me and they're like, oh, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. Let's go ahead and now, buy, whatever product I'm offering them. So I think that's probably one of the most underutilized things that people are doing is building an email list and then also just building a following, getting some likes on their Facebook page, getting their Instagram going, because you can incentivize people to do that. You can say, hey, look, unlock these 100 coins that does this and this for you. And all you got to do is like me. And now you start building this list. You got an email list, you got, Facebook list, audience going. And now you're just making a lot more money. And now you have a business. It's not just, this one little app that's in a store that you're like, oh God, if something happens in this app, I've got nothing. It's like, no, you retain your IP, you retain your customers. And no matter what happens in the marketplace, now you have a real business that you can build from. And I think that's what I'm seeing most people not doing, is just taking advantage of, all the different technologies we have and where their customers are actually hanging out outside of the app.
Because I imagine what people want is they think they can develop one app, it's going to go viral, they'll make their millions, and that's it. And you're using all these terms like a real business owner would use, like building a relationship, building an email list, LTV,
back-end sales.
And you're treating this like a real business. We can't have that. I needed you to come on and say, you can develop an app and become a millionaire overnight and retire.
Exactly.
So I got a million more questions, but
shoot them.
We don't have time for all my questions. I want to talk. You use the term freedom lifestyle a lot. Tell me what that means to you.
Freedom lifestyle to me means that you are living the life that you are sort of creating and designing for yourself. So in my book, I was writing doing what you want, who you want, when you want. But really at the end of the day, freedom lifestyle is just you're deciding how you want to live your day and you're living it without any constrictions or restrictions to anybody, any job, even yourself, And so, I have a lot of projects I work on, I have really good passive income, but I enjoy the things that I'm doing. So that's a freedom lifestyle for me. And in the beginning, I actually thought it was, like most of us do, sitting on some random island on a beach and sipping margaritas. But, that gets boring after like day 6 or 7, depending on how good the tequila
is. So has teaching the app business become one of your passion projects? Is that why you're doing it? Like, the only reason I got into the mail order business wasn't because I was crazy about having a mail order business. I just wanted to make the same amount of money that I was making from my job, do it working half the time, so I could go off and be a musician and play in bands and do all that stuff. And then I figured out like I actually was passionate about the mail order business. And then down the road, teaching all the marketing stuff became my passion. Is that how that came about with the app business and what you're doing there?
Yeah, a little bit. I started making money and traveling all over the place and doing all these conferences. I was just inspired to help other people. And I mean, I didn't have any other people that could do that lived in a life. So I was like, I just really want some friends that can go and travel with me and have this life. And so I started just teaching some of my friends, and they started doing incredibly well. And then I said, okay, well, I really want to get this info out there because I feel like we're at a precipice now with technology where, this is actually, I tried MLM, I've tried so many different things, but this is finally it, guys. This is the thing. This is the thing that's going to give you freedom. And so I just attacked it with that energy and wrote the book. I did really well and felt good about it. And I also realized that, for me, I really want to play as much as possible. And so, the apps is one thing I'm passionate about, but really it's about giving people freedom, so finding the vehicle for them and just making sure that, we spend so much time working. And it's like, I want people to have fun and be creative and enjoy most of their life and have the ability to do what they want. They want to fly somewhere and go check out an experience or a country, or they want to stay at their house and invite family and spend more time with family. It's just, I subscribe to a different channel than how I grew up. And I really want to promote the new channel because it's such a better quality of life and you just show up very differently. And it's fun. It's very fun. It's very quick when you can get an idea from your head into the app store in a week or 2 weeks and it's making money. It just blows your mind. It rocks your world.
So why aren't more people living that kind of lifestyle? I mean, so you've proven they can have that kind of lifestyle with an app business. There's other businesses that people have done it with. Why aren't more people doing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it has to do with a few things. I think a lot of people, they fall into a trap, that small percentage of people that take action. They fall into the trap of some type of uncertainty about, okay, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't know about. Everyone has excuses, right? Well, maybe the apps are all over. Maybe I can't really be free. And when I really go through to the nucleus of what's going on, typically it's a belief in themselves more than it is the market. Because I've had people, like a lot of the kids that I work with, the reason they're so successful isn't because they're smarter than everybody else. It's just because they have no other thing on their litmus test that says that they can't do it. But they're more open. They're more like, okay, well, this didn't work. Let me keep trying, And it's not to say that everybody that does an internet marketing business or app, their first one just crushes it. But that's the muscle that you're working out and you're really strengthening. So your second one will hit. And I think for a lot of people, they just don't get to their second one, and sometimes they don't get to their first one. They really want to do it, but unfortunately life comes in their way and seems to stop them. But I really do think it comes down to their belief structure.
Did you ever deal with that personally?
Oh, wow. Did I deal with that? Yeah. So when I was in the hospital, I had the fortune to read Tim's book for our work week and also start listening to a lot of Tony Robbins stuff. And I had to completely not just rehab my body, but a lot of it was my mind, because as you guys know, what's in your head becomes your reality. And so I was daily, I would look like a crazy person in this hospital, nurses walking by, and I'm screaming my incantations about, me being a millionaire and traveling around the world and da-da-da-da. And I can tell you the stuff works. I really can. And it takes that consistency and that full it's as easy for me to say, since I didn't really have anything. Like at that time, I lost almost everything, and didn't even know where I was going to end up. So I was just completely, dedicated and giving myself to this new thing. And sometimes that's what it takes. It takes that just resilience and that determination and just saying, fuck it, I'm going to give everything right now. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that I've seen do it, that, it took me to go through a car accident, but it doesn't have to do that for everybody. It really doesn't. It just takes okay, enough is enough. Now's the time. And I'm going to do this and stepping into that power.
It's interesting to hear you say all that. Many of us, myself included, have heard that exact same thing for years about, programming your mind, saying the affirmations. And,
mm-hmm.
and there's some resistance to it, even though
mm-hmm.
you talk to so many successful people, probably because the woo-woo crowd has taken somewhat off the deep end. But
yes.
When successful people keep saying the same thing about that, now we've got EEG scans of the brain and MRI scans of the brain backing it up, showing that when you do those kind of things, the changes that happen in your brain are exactly the same as if you were living that reality right now.
Mm-hmm.
So is that your advice then for somebody who's dealing with, what is your advice to somebody who's dealing with those belief issues? Self-image, belief issues.
Yeah. My advice takes some type of I agree with you, by the way. So, I definitely worked my butt off on working on myself. And I've also heard the same story for such a long time. And so the benefit that I saw, there's active and passive ways of doing this. Active can be challenging for some people where they're actually like screaming out, and saying the things that they want to create. But another interesting way that I did that helped a lot was I would take tracks of music, and you can do this on, you can take a SoundCloud, say track that's like an hour or something. And I would take that MP3, and then in the background, I'd record myself just saying all the things that I wanted. Who I am. I'm a millionaire. I'm strong. I'm powerful. I'm active. I'm an athlete. I'm on fire, blah, blah, blah. And I would say all these things, and I'd lessen that track just a little bit in the background of music that I actually liked. And so the passive way is just waking up and just playing that, jumping in the shower, singing to your music, and you don't even know, because as we know, it's like 95%, of what we do is related to our subconscious that's going on. It's only 5% of stuff that we're actually conscious about. And so the key, I think, for a lot of people is let's rewire ourselves subconsciously. So, we're not thinking about it. We're still, our self-talk is better, because it is hard sometimes to sit there and every second, be positive or say all these different things. And I think that was probably one of my, domino effects when I started doing that.
That's a cool tip. Just because we're only conscious of the 5% doesn't mean the other 95% isn't going in there.
Exactly. It's going in there anyway. We might as well, use it to our advantage and program ourselves.
No doubt. Well, I could talk with you for at least another hour, but I know we got to let you go. How are you teaching people this app business? So what I mean is, are you doing this in person? Is this a distance coaching thing? How do you do it?
Yeah, I have, so appempire.com is basically our site. We go on and we teach. We have a couple programs on that, but it's basically our full online course that people can take. And then also I don't really do that much consulting. I've done it for a couple people and a couple companies, but I'm still into apps heavily. So yeah, I sort of don't do the one-off coaching as much as I do putting together sort of it's a lot easier to leverage our online portal to create a community that can really help people. So basically, yeah, most of our stuff right now is done, and most of our success has been from, creating this community, and also just all the tools. Because, for us, we have all this data from people going through it. We see what's going on. And so it's just been really nice to set up the One App Empire portal. So you can jump in there and get all the information and see what other students are doing. And, that's been our main source of education.
Well, this has been cool, Chad. I really appreciate it. I've learned some interesting stuff about the app business. And if anybody wants to learn more about you or the app business, there's appempire.com. There's also your book on Amazon, also entitled App Empire.
Yes.
And anything else I should have asked that I didn't.
That you will take credit for.
Yeah, that I'll take credit for. Before we let you go, or anything you want to say in closing.
Well, yeah, first of all, thanks so much for having me. I would say, in closing, just to take action. I think people that are listening to this right now, people can be excited, and I've been there. I mean, I still listen to podcasts, but I remember when I didn't have anything, I wasn't living a freedom lifestyle, and I was desperate. And I remember having a little bit of hope when I heard somebody talk about this life that they had. And it sounded so great. And, part of me believed them, part of me didn't. And I, it took me a lot of time before I actually took action. It actually took me, a really traumatizing event. So if someone's listening to this right now and you get inspired or you're curious, take some action, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be from me. It can be just from reading app blogs. It could be from, just stepping in and downloading some apps and playing with them, but do something. Don't let that feeling that you have right now just waste away and wait to another time to come around. Take action now, because it can change in a moment. And I'm definitely a testament to that.
Good advice. Well, thanks again, Chad. I enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back.
Thank you. I definitely will. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to create rivers of revenue from your existing customers, then the next thing you need to do is go to DobermanDan.com. He's giving away a free copy of his $98 per month Doberman Dan letter just for listening to the show. Go to DobermanDan.com now and sign up for your free issue.
This is the podcastfactory.com.